on this episode of Edge of the Web.
Use either my community or other communities to network as much as possible. This is an amazing time where you can network across the world with emojis. Like, use those, and you know, like, amazing things have happened to me.
Your weekly digital marketing trends with industry trend-setting guests. You're listening and watching Edge of the Web. Winners of Best Podcast from the Content Marketing Institute for 2017. Hear and see more at edgeofthewebradio.com. Now, alongside Tom Broadbeck, here's your host, Aaron Sparks.
All right. Hey, welcome back to The Edge. We're broadcasting from Edge Media Studios in downtown Indianapolis, Indiana, and where every week we're bringing you the latest trends in digital marketing as well as marketing influencers. You can check out all the recent shows at edgeofthewebradio.com. We're powered by Site Strategics, your digital marketing partners and pioneers that actually specialize in the agile digital marketing strategy and execution. So if you want to know more about what that means, it really is results-based marketing at a sprint agile cadence. So we look at things every 2 weeks and make sure we're doing the best for our clients. So if you want to check us out, go over to Site Strategics. That's S-I-T-E strategics.com. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks. I'm the CEO and founder of the organization. And the reason we do this show is a very important reason. Is to be able to bring education about digital marketing tactics to our audience on a regular basis. We certainly appreciate the success we've been able to have with our downloads, our guests, and over the course of well over 5 years, it's been fantastic being able to see the type of response we're getting. We certainly do it for our own needs of keeping our powder dry, making sure that our digital marketing team is well prepared for the trending topics that are happening in the entire ecosystem of digital marketing. And that's going to be the last time I'm going to be using the word ecosystem. To my left is not Tom Broadbeck.
Hey guys, this is Jared Jewett.
That is Jared Jewett. Now, Tom Broadbeck is the digital... I do it again. He's not even here and I screw up his... Tom Broadbeck is the director of digital media. Jared is actually the marketing manager for Site Strategics. Sir, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for inviting me today. I know Tom was kind of on daddy duty, so he got pulled away. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
No worries, no worries. And you're wearing our some of our swag as well.
Edge of Indy, can you see that?
See, that's another show that we actually do for a local Indianapolis. You might want to check that out. But we certainly are happy to have you on deck here.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. And let me introduce our guest for the show. It's David Markovich, founder and CEO of Online Geniuses. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, guys?
Living the dream. And you are out in the ether over there from our vantage point. New York City, and you are literally right next to the Empire State Building. Is that what I'm hearing here?
No, that's actually where I'm moving. I'm like 5 minutes walk from there.
Right.
I live right near the Empire State Building, but I work on like a 10-minute walk from there.
Cool. We got to visit.
Yeah, man, absolutely. If you'll have us, for sure.
An Edgecast out in New York would be a fantastic thing. We got to think about that.
A little logistics there, but yeah.
All right. So for the watchers and the listeners here, certainly promote what we do on the Facebook Live broadcast. Ask questions as well, because this is what Edgecasting is all about: is making sure that we're not only just having some good dialogue with our guests, but we're also talking to you, the listener. You are our brand loyalists, and being able to bring you into this conversation. So jump on the Facebook live stream. Unfortunately, if you're hearing this on podcast, the show's already happened, but we certainly invite you to come back around and talk to us during the live broadcast. So do that for everybody's pleasure, right?
Can't wait.
Check out, speaking of podcasts, check out us on all of the podcast platforms. So we're on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Acast, Player FM. And if you know a platform that you'd like to hear us on that we're not right now, then feel free to drop us a message and we'll move our RSS right over there. Yep. It's just that easy. Talk about easy. Oh boy, this was a corny segment. It's so easy to do marketing whenever you're using a tool like Ahrefs. So this segment is actually brought to you by our sponsor, Ahrefs. If you want to get passive, consistent traffic from Google that converts into customers and sales, Ahrefs has all the tools that help you with understanding your data and be able to improve your online digital experience. So head on over to ahrefs.com and take their free 14-day trial. Also check out their Academy section for tutorials on how to make your website rank higher in Google. It's a fantastic tool.
Their help documentation is out of this world, and there's videos you can follow along there too.
You better believe it. And they keep on adding into a lot of their tool sets. They've evolved over time, and it's a fantastic tool set. And what's really cool is that as a sponsor of the show, they're actually giving away a free membership for a year to their software. That's $179 per month value.
That's insane
over
value.
Over $2,000. I can do the math. Over $2,000 they're giving away. And how do you win that? Tell me how you win that, Jared.
You win that by posting a question to this live Facebook feed, right? In the comments section. We will read them all, but then we'll choose the best one. Maybe at random. There might be a little qualitative analysis there. And we'll choose the best one and send you the login information for your brand new Ahrefs account.
That's right. That's right. So ask away, and we're certainly wanting to interact with you. So give us some good questions as we talked to David today. All right, let's take you through the latest digital marketing trends here today.
I was very excited to start my reportings.
This week's trending topics.
So we got some stories here we would love to have you contribute into. First one on deck here is Business Insider from Mike Shields. YouTube wants to make it easier for the marketers to make thousands of different ads. So YouTube is actually rolling out a new tool called Director Mix to make it easier for marketers to churn out hundreds, if not thousands, of variations of the video ad. The company is on a mission to convince advertisers that more relevant ads, tailor-made for a certain viewer's profile, will have a much bigger impact on consumers. Well, it seems pretty logical, but man, oh man, they've got to have a huge engine to be able to push different variants in there. So YouTube is offering to take on this heavy lifting. This Director Mix is actually letting a marketer upload multiple ad building blocks like different cuts for commercial footage, voiceovers, copy variations, and the tool will actually automatically create these thousands of ads. Said Tara Walpert-Levy, the vice president of the agency and media solutions over at Google. So, David, what do you think about this explosion of new variety of ads through YouTube?
And I think it's great, and I think it's great for the community as well, because just from the sake of testing, right? So now you could test more ads, you could target better and faster. Yep. You could get the results you want, and when something's working, you tend to just put more money into it. So YouTube wants something to work, right? So it might not work on the first or second or third try. So they're giving you that option to go 5 tries, and on the 5th, you could probably put more, money into it, and that once it's working, you're like, hey, if I'm making $1 from every video I do, it's worth it to put in, much more money, right? So unlike if you're losing $1 or losing 50 cents for a video or something.
It could very well be that they're trying to avoid the lazy marketer, because that not many marketers are going to put forth 2 or 3 different versions of their own ad just to test how valuable it is. I hate to be that callous, but I mean, the case of the matter is you'll have a marketer try one and then just throw it away. Well, this is giving them the option to be able to kind of craft a lot of different messages and let YouTube with the Director Mix take care of that for you.
Yeah, and I think it's great, and it's great for the smaller teams as well that already spread so thin with different channels. So now there's one person who could, run a lot of different tests, maybe look super impressive to the agency or brand that they're working at, and kill it.
That's exactly right. That's what I thought was kind of the most interesting part of the article, is even the people at YouTube who have developed this Director Mix were saying that it will be such a big cultural shift, right? So that there will be, like David, I think you just said, it's such a value at the small agency level, but YouTube is almost a little worried about how there's so much velocity behind the ginormous brands, right? Who develop an ad for television, put a lot of money into an ad for television, and don't really care to do anything else to it. YouTube really wants to get those investors investors in particular using something like Director's Mix. And I'd be interested to see if they adopt it or not, or like you said, if they're just going to take the essentially lazier path of loading up that $5 million commercial and letting it run for half a year and see how it works.
The freaky thing I'm thinking about here is, how you can have those favorite ads that you want to see time and time again, like the I think it was the Audi and the Darth Vader mask.
Oh yeah,
way back then, right? Right, yeah. Exactly.
Perfect.
Super Bowls way back when. Well, the point is that if they have so many different variations, you're never going to be able to find the same one.
Yeah.
Again, it's all going to be different, man.
Yep.
Nobody here feels that. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. No pain there.
That's what the Super Bowl is for.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right, Search Engine Journal from Matt Southern. Export Google Search Console Index Coverage Report. Check this out, is that site owners can now export the data contained in Google Search Console's Index Coverage Report. G Squared Interactive was the first to notice that the new feature is there and spread the word on Facebook. So you can actually export your entire, it's an entirely new report to be able to export your entire index coverage, which has been elusive to now. You'd have to actually spider inside of Google, and you'd never be able to get the full-on index of all the URLs that are actually available. So the report identifies how many pages of a site are getting indexed, as well as how many pages that are not getting indexed due to errors.
That's the key.
Yeah, buddy. That's the money right there. Right. David, what do you think about that report?
So you were able to do it before with other tools. Yep. But then again, if you're getting it from the source, I think that directly it's great and there's less room for error. Obviously, you're able to do mass crawls on your site and seeing what gets indexed and what's not indexed, and what do you want to be indexed and that's not, and vice versa. Yep. But going to the source, I think there's less room for error. And that was the same with keyword research, and if only Google had a backlink tool, or it's like using Google Site Speed. I'd rather use that than someone who claims to know.
Totally. Absolutely.
Because that's the data that they're going after.
Yep. Google's telling you what they like and what they don't.
Is definitely better.
Hey, did you come across the recent story that we could actually deconstruct the undisclosed keywords? Now we are actually able to pull that out of the undisclosed, unavailable factors, where it was hidden, 4 or 5 years ago.
That sounds like black magic to me.
I'm saying, we reported on that.
I still don't know why they got rid of that.
Yeah.
The official
the
official story was because of spammers. I don't see that, because I really don't see, why that was such a big challenge. Yeah, something's working. So you're marketing.
Yeah, they just want you to pay $1 million for the professional version. We love Google,
and
but we're not dumb. None of us here in this room are dumb. We know.
They're basically you don't need this. Go buy AdWords.
That's exactly right.
That's the play. I was predicting here a long time ago that they were going to be monetizing the analytics to a whole another degree.
Sure.
Which they have from the enterprise.
And there's some,
But at some point in time, they get us so addicted to analytics, right?
Yeah, and all of a sudden they take something away.
Right.
I even think I remember the day when that happened. Yep. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember the feeling that when I went to go check GA, and I'm like, hey, where are all the keywords?
And they're just gone.
Just the conversation just broke out. Do you know, is this an error? I hope this is not permanent. Totally. It was it's the same day when Yahoo Site Explorer went out. You're like, hey, where's you have to unbookmark, and you're like, oh, okay, what's the new tools? And you spoke about Ahrefs at the beginning, and they were the one that took the spotlight. They're like, oh, Yahoo, you don't want this? The only product I've ever used from Yahoo that I could say was Site Explorer, and they got rid of it.
You're right.
And then the hack happened, and I'm like, oh, you know what, Yahoo, I don't have anything with you.
Game over.
But Ahrefs, they killed it. And we actually, in our community, we did something with them, and it is probably one of my favorite tools in this industry.
Awesome.
And it was great. It was great timing for them to come out being like, hey, not just are we going to take over the people looking for this type of data, we're also going to do it much better than they previously had. And I think it's a great tool, and I think the value that you're giving out for a full year, it's an expensive tool, is really worthwhile.
Very good. Well, I certainly appreciate the compliments to our sponsor. Hey, last article here from The Verge. Microsoft and Facebook just laid get this, 160 terabyte per second cable 4,100 miles across the Atlantic.
Yeah, can you imagine?
By, I'm going to do disservice here, Thiong. There's enough bandwidth to stream 71 million HD videos at the same time. So Microsoft and Facebook and the telecom infrastructure company Telexius have announced the completion of the highest capacity subsea cable to ever cross the Atlantic Ocean. The cable is capable of transmitting 160 terabytes of data per second. Boy, that would be a beautiful thing.
Wow. Oh, my God. The things that I would do short of murder to have access.
I don't know. That may be in my crosshairs if we could get
quality. Like, I just can't even imagine.
Now, I don't know if you remember the day, but whenever we could actually get a T1, this is way back. This is way back on the modem side of things.
Right. You could do it like in domestic too. And,
Oh, it was a beautiful
out
thing.
Of this
it was,
world.
It was.
All of a sudden, I could actually play video games with my friends. It was great.
Oh my gosh. So it's called Maira, which is Spanish for tide. The 4,000-mile long subsea cable lies 17,000 feet below the ocean surface and extends between Virginia Beach, Virginia, and the city of Bilbao, Spain. Maria actually also stretches a route south of the most existing transatlantic cables. Because of this, Microsoft says the cable will provide resiliency for those living in the U.S. and Europe for safeguarding against natural disasters or other major events that might cause disruptions in connections, like what they've seen during the Hurricane Sandy. There's a big pipe there. It's always a good thing, right?
Yeah, holy smokes. That's great.
Any idea what that would have cost to actually lay out?
I would assume some amount of it is subsidized through government agencies on both coasts. It would be weird if it wasn't. It's such a good thing for the human beings that live on either where the ends of that cable, right where it lands.
Yep.
That I would assume it was worth the investment. I'll leave it at that. And the shareholders probably think it's worth the investment.
What do you think, David? Are we plugged in suitably, or is this the?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if it's funny, like I actually didn't think about this before because I read the article previously, and I was like, hey, if they cared more about people's like shelter and water and food as much as they cared about people's internet access as a whole, they're like, hey, we need to build like this huge. We need to make sure that if there's a natural disaster, they could at least, they could at least go check something on Google Maps or something, or they could at least go check their email. We're like, if there's a natural disaster, the internet's great and like it's good for like communication and making sure everyone's safe and everything. But I think that it's a little bit down on my list if like a hurricane hits.
That's right.
Well, this is honestly insurance and assurance that e-commerce will continue in the light of. So, I mean, it's the commerce engine that's really there that we have to protect, right? And
I'm happy to see that, all these companies are actually working together.
Yeah, that's right.
And the article also noted that Google also invested in 2 cables that ran from U.S. to Japan, South America, and other countries a while back as well. So these companies are working together, and they realize that network has to survive these type of scenarios, and that's actually very good for the entire world economy. If you look at it, is that looking at it from the larger picture, one localized problem, right? Yeah. As traumatic as it is at that local level, if those pipes are severed, those things could cause a much larger break in commerce that stops the wheels going. So anyway, what doesn't stop is our newsletter happening every week. So you want to jump in there and text to the number 22828, the word Edge Talk, and you can join right there from your smartphone or go to Edge of the Web Radio and be able to join our newsletter right there. And we're sending out the free newsletter that covers everything that we're about to cover on the show, as well as much more, a little insider information, and a focus back on who we've talked to in the past, as well as the news articles like we've just mentioned. So I implore you, jump on there and be part of the inside group of inside network of Edge of the Web. All right, follow all the featuring trending topics at edgeofthewebradio.com. So let's deep dive with this week's featured guest.
Now it's time for Edge of the Web featured interview with David Markovich, founder and CEO of Online Geniuses.
let's introduce David to our audience here. David Markovich is the founder and CEO of the internet marketing community Online Geniuses, which holds events over 20 cities and hosts amazing guests and over 6,000 members in their Slack community. He's also the man behind Chat Overload Slack Consultancy. Wilfred, also a bot that can help you chat with your boss anonymously. That's creepy. And the New York City Slack meetup, the social media management tool, followed, and Missing Kids Bot, a bot that helps find missing kids. You are a busy, busy man, David. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. So, David, give us your backstory, buddy.
Man, I've done this so many times, I would think I would have it memorized. I've been working digital like basically all my life. I've always been like obsessed with technology. And then I figured out that you could actually manipulate the ways that, how much traffic you get and what those people do once they come to your site at a really early age, and end up working at a bunch of different companies, like started an agency, worked for agencies, worked for big brands, did some consulting gigs. And, through that time was able to build a pretty big network, and then connected all the people I knew, or at least all the really good people I knew in Online Geniuses 2.5 years ago. And from there, formed the community.
No, that's excellent. Along with that, we also have come across a number of guests that we've interviewed here over the last 4 to 5 months, and your name and the community has kept on creeping into the conversations, and we had to know what in the world's going on over there at Online Geniuses. So give us where the idea came from.
First of all, what did you call it when we initially spoke? You called it Online Jesuses?
Oh, yeah. Don't do that to me.
Calling them out, man. Yeah.
Oh, no. Now it's going to stick in my head. Thanks for the earworm. Great. Appreciate it.
I think you're going to... That happened like twice.
I know.
But not on the show. Now it's here. All right. So Online Geniuses.
Yeah. So I was always like hosting events and like even in my personal life, like I host like happy hours. I host like, we go away for the weekends and dinners and breakfasts and like just for my friends. Right. So I naturally have that like built into my like system. And when I brought that to like a business aspect, like we ended up I really enjoyed digital marketing, and there was nothing more I enjoyed hearing about. I thought it was the coolest thing, and I still do. Especially people that are really good at it. So getting those people together on one network was always a dream of mine, among many other dreams. So I had to become an astronaut, but I did.
You still got time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this actually started out as a Skype group, right?
Yeah. We started out on Skype, and we had like 300 people.
Wow.
And I don't know if this was like 2 years ago, or over 2 years ago, and you couldn't mute Skype groups, and there was like 1,000 messages happening a day, or something like that. Like I would wake up at like 7:45, like my phone would be like 50% battery, and it was just like tons of messages. And people would people would tell me like, "Yo, Dave, I love you, and I love this group. I just have to get out of it." And I'm I'm like, you better stay, because I want to get out of it, and I'm staying. Like I know the pain. Yep. So we end up like finding a good solution. I was like, you can't leave. Like people would leave, I would just add them right back in. Like, hey, just stay. Like,
oh my gosh,
that's awesome.
The best.
So, now how was the conversion from Skype to Slack?
It sucked. Like nobody wanted to move. Really? Also, a lot of people didn't even hear about Slack.
Yeah.
But people wanted to network. So during that transition period, I actually almost killed the group.
Oh wow.
There was like 20 people in Slack, and me like trying to engage those people, and then the retention of the Skype community started slowing down due to the fact that everyone thought we moved. So it was just like a really standstill for like 2 weeks, and then I just kept on pushing it, and rebranded as the Slack community.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, once we got 100 people, I'll be fine. And then once we got 100 people, I said, okay, once we got like 500 people, or at least we got 300, at least where we were.
Right.
And then that happened, and then news started picking us up, and we started getting covered, and we just started growing. Right now we're at like 8,600 people.
Wow.
So
Now, for our listeners that don't know Slack, describing it briefly, it's an instant messaging service that businesses can utilize, organizations can utilize, and it's a huge startup that really started about 3.5 years ago. And it was and there's an entire backstory of Slack, but they're trying to stay right in their lane of not doing everything for everybody like a lot of other platforms have. Right. This is truly just trying to facilitate good communication and good chat. So whenever you go into Slack, I mean, the concept of 8,000 members there in a chat program, how do you boil that down to make sure that there's not that level of chaos or just overwhelming communication going on?
Yeah, it's definitely a big number, especially when people are chatting. Like, I think on average we send like 14,000 messages a week through our community. So like even some of the largest forums out there are not sending that, right? With millions of members, at least not now. So you definitely can't do it alone. And I can't personally do it alone. Even as much as I don't sleep, like it's a lot, right? Because you want to review everything and you want to make sure everyone feels comfortable, and you want to make sure that all the crappy marketers known as spammers are out of the community and all the good ones are acknowledged, and you want to make sure there's guests and you're throwing out events. So it is like there's a big internal team that a lot of people don't know about, and these are moderators, and what they do is they're like the decision makers at the end of the day. They're looking out to seeing like we have a code of conduct on our website, onlinegeniuses.com. You just scroll to the footer. You break that, like we give you a warning. We also document it all. Good, and then if you break the warning, then we ban you. And if you get banned, we also document that. So when you have a chance to reapply, we use Reportive, so we'll catch you coming in again. Obviously some we missed, but at the end of the day, like that's for one, right? Like that's keeping control of the crowd. Now the second is like keeping engaged. We also need like the real, like the power users to like engage a lot and keep everyone engaged. And then making sure there's not too much noise. So then we have separate channels. So if you're an SEO person and you're probably unlikely to be in the email channel, and if you're in email, you'd rather be in the PPC. So we have like 40, 50 channels that you could choose to leave everything else out. And there's some people that just come in for our AMAs. So you have the chance to be in that in those channels, and come and go as you please. And that's the story.
It's well managed, and it does typify this next question I've got. You're utilizing that technology to serve a purpose of a community, right? And the entire local, regional, terrestrial type of meetup engagements don't serve this international audience. You've got to have these techniques to, and it used to be forums way back in the day, right? Where we could jump in and just message. Having that live interaction is something that people are looking for. But what tips could you give someone who is trying to build their own community like you have?
Is it tips about building an international community or community in general?
Let's go community in general first, because international is pretty lofty for a heck of a lot of people.
Yeah, a community, like I've spoken about this before, and it has to be something that you're extremely passionate about, because you're going to be in that community more than anyone else, right? So you're going to be in the community, you can be reading about it. You have to stay up to date with it. So for me, it's for me, it's digital marketing. So like you have to really live and breathe it. So you don't mind reading about it a few hours a day, or at least having it on the top of your head. So whatever topic you want to make. Secondly, you have to offer value, right? So you have to really work the event. It doesn't happen naturally. There's a lot. I don't think people realize how hard it is at the end of the day to build a community and keep it engaged and keep it alive. So you have to just keep on offering to the community reasons to benefit, right? So for us, it was very big, like with, hey, we're doing events. So, it's not just attending an event, you're actually meeting friends there you could chat with afterwards. We bring in a lot of guests, and we work really hard to get those guests.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And, that's it. And then you basically have to feed off other communities, like to get those initial members. So like for us, Quora was a big avenue. Reddit was really big. So you have to figure out those original communities. And I ended up becoming friends with a lot of them. I am, and I actually still am, are people that run what some call competitive communities. And we're just like, hey, what's the purpose of this? Like, it's not like a business. Like, our purpose is just like, hey, let's get back to this community. So why not just collaborate? And collaboration is big key. And like the community is not you, right? Like at the end of the day, it's not about ego. People are like, oh yeah, like I create, like, it's not about that. It's about the community is the people.
And
right?
you're a facilitator.
Yeah, like it's one thing if you invent something, right?
Yeah.
You made that, and you could take full credit for that, and you put in your own R&D, and you put in your own money, and you whatever, you got it. A community, it's really just the people. So you happen to be the person that gathered the people.
Well, I if I could interject here, I would make the point that it's a living, breathing thing, and if you're not feeding it the correct food and not keeping it focused, especially in the social media ADD realm, where I mean, literally, attention deficit is pervasive, right? Keeping that engaged, I mean, that's a pretty sizable challenge, especially in the Slack tool set.
It can be work.
It can absolutely work. So don't sell yourself short, man, because I mean, it is something that you have to keep constant vigil on. So how do you keep people coming back and making it habitual?
I mean, so we do send out a monthly newsletter, which is run by Adam Steele, who's one of our moderators. And the newsletter what we do is every Friday we announce. We make it enough. We ping the whole entire channel. We say, what did you accomplish this week? And everyone gets the chance, the only chance you get all week to talk about yourself in the main channel. So like hundreds of people, we hope that hundreds of people participate. Really, it varies from week to week how many people participate, but everyone shares like something either big or small what they accomplished, and we take that and the reward for doing that is we put that in the newsletter so everyone can see, and hopefully people make connections. So I launched company A, and potential customer B might reach out to you because they saw that, right? So people want to come in on Friday to hear, announce their accomplishment, and also in the newsletter we talk about all these things. So if you want to network with said people, you have to go back into the community. So every week we have that nice bump, and then every other week we try to bring in a guest. So for example, we have like the head of marketing at Stack Overflow coming in. We have other guests, coming in, and like a lot of guests in the past. So we try to that's like the reason to come back. And then once you're back, it's kind of like the upsell, right? Like once you're in CVS to buy something, you end up buying like a Snickers bar.
Yeah, totally.
And hanging around and like adding value and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. I mean, that's fantastic. So the local meetups that you have there, how important, as we're talking about this organism that you're feeding, right, and you're keeping everybody fresh and watered and fed, the local meetups, how many different local meetups are there in the Slack community?
So we run like 25 cities.
Wow. So who's boots on the ground, and what do they have to do to make sure that the energy that's in that Slack community gets translated into that local meetup? And do you have a planning guide and things like that to be able to keep consistency and keep kind of the style and engagement at those local meetups?
So we have internal docs that we give out. We bring on an organizer, usually an influencer in that space. We also have a channel dedicated. So for example, if it's Las Vegas, we'll have a Las Vegas channel in there. So they're communicating, and if we don't run the meetups, then they're going to do it themselves. So we purchased a meetup account for that particular area. We work with, my personal reach is pretty big. So like I'm able to reach out to venues that I've never even met, and or mass co-working spaces, and we'll get them the venue.
Cool.
And then we hand it off to them and like, hey, just set up a date. We'll help you. We have monthly organizer calls. So all the organizers will hop on a call. And then like, we'll, basically give each other advice. I run the one in New York, and I have been for a while. So we have a lot of experience, and our goal is to, once they meet in person, they go back, they end up chatting online a bit more, and then they have a meeting in person and chatting online, and that's it.
That's huge. I mean, and you being able to facilitate in the ways that you're saying, especially with your network's reach, what a value to offer these 8,600 people. I mean, that alone is out of this world.
And the value that we're providing to these independent organizers.
Oh,
for
sure.
example, like if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, you might have a network there, but once you become an organizer for one of our events, what happens is we add you to a private channel with like 25 other organizers. So now wherever you go in those 25 cities, you always have friends and network. So you're going on vacation to London, you could reach out to the London organizers who I'm assuming you already built some type of connection with because you have this common, this common side gig. And whatever goal that is, if it's to acquire customers, if it's to get hired, if it's to you're building a product and you're looking for founders or partners or whatever, now you just in the snap of a finger, you just expand it worldwide yourself for your own personal brand.
That's really cool.
I dig it. So I got to ask, is there an Indianapolis chapter? Are you looking for certain moderators to open up an Indianapolis chapter? Hey, we're big boys down here.
Do you know anyone in that area?
We know a few people.
Some guys with beards and glasses.
Hey,
No, we don't have a chapter leader in that area, and if you want, we could chat offline.
Yeah, I think
we could have the conversation here. And kill two birds with one stone.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, we could actually bring some of the muscle of edge of the web radio to the community to be able to facilitate some interviews as well. That might be something.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll talk offline about this.
Yeah, once you're plugged in, you're plugged in.
Roger that.
That's really cool.
You just become a tentacle, and
yeah, man.
The Illuminati strikes.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to give a shout out to one of our new sponsors, Page One Power, and they are your solution for custom link building campaigns. In addition to their manual link building campaigns, they also offer technical SEO audits, link building training courses, and enterprise solutions. So check out Page One Power. They work hard for your business. They also are offering, as a sponsor of our show, 10% off their link building services. You can go over to their webpage, pageonepower.com/EOTW, and jump on there and tell them a little bit about your link building needs. Page One Power, real people, real links, real results. I had to sneak that one in there, Dave. I appreciate it.
You snuck it in pretty well.
Oh, thank you, sir. Talking about sneaking things in, hey, what bugs you about your industry right now?
There was a lot of people that I initially followed or was engaging with that would give certain marketing advice, right? So they would give direction about let's say conversion rate optimization. Yeah. Right? And they were really awesome about it.
Yep.
Then once this craze started happening, everyone just turned into motivational speakers. And you're
so true.
And then you're like, what's going on? Because this is not your audience. You're like, yeah, I want to give the reason why I initially started listening to what you had to say was because of your expertise.
That's right.
Now, I think more and more people are, it's just everyone's chatting about motivation.
Yeah.
And it happens to be that a lot of it's not even motivating.
Yeah. It's repurposed, and let me help you out there because we ask that question of a lot of our guests, and they absolutely chime into this space. You wouldn't believe, David, how many times our guests are actually saying it's about this constant glut of broadcast out there with not a whole lot of substance, as opposed to Gary Vee. He's awesome. He's pushing content, and he is incredible in what he does. But there's so many wannabes out there that they are just sucking the air out of the room. Forgive my expression, and and they don't have really that much substance to offer. And I mean, I think we were talking to Bill Slawski here last show, and he said the exact same thing, is that there's so many there's no substance content. So for a lot of people, they're just churning it out. And I mean, when it comes down to motivation, it can be recycled so many times that it just kind of loses its grandeur or loses its point. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I agree. And then it's you're consistently just unfollowing instead of following. People, you're like, okay, cool. It's really interesting. Yeah, I'm going to work hard. Or hey, how about we both open up our bank accounts and let's see who should be listening to who?
There it is.
Because at the end of the
That's
day,
right.
that's what that's what makes a difference.
Roger
totally
that.
So, and it's amazing because like I hear a lot of business advice from people who never ran a business. I hear you won't believe how many you won't believe how many emails I get. People giving me community advice.
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like that's actually pretty wasteful advice.
Right.
Oh boy, did you run a community? No, I'm part of two. And I'm like,
oh my Lord.
So like I that's why I choose. I'm like, hey, I try to give advice of something that I've actually done.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, sometimes motivation is great.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person to get motivated by someone who's been in my shoes, who's doing what I'm doing, and if there's someone like, for example, with the community, if there's someone that ran a community or runs big events, like I'm usually the first person to have like a full notebook full notes, and then kind of tune out somebody who hasn't been there and is just like, hey, by the way, this is like really good, and I'm like,
no, I dig it. I dig it. Hey, conversely, what excites you about your industry right now?
I mean, I love the creativity that's coming out from it. Like just how creative, whether on a white, black, or gray hat angle, how creative people are getting. And then don't get me wrong, like marketers annoy me also, but just somehow like, I don't know if I don't know, are you guys getting these like passive aggressive emails? Like they send you an email, hey, check out our service. Yep. And then like you got to follow up a week later. I don't know if you saw this. I guess you're not interested.
Non-stop. I have 50 right now.
So like those used to bother me, but now like I'm actually getting like, they're getting a bit overused, but I kind of laugh at them, or like when those people subscribe, like those. This is like kind of corny, but it's still funny when people ask to sign up to their email list. It's like, yes, sign up, or no, I don't want to make money, or no, I don't need it.
I love those.
I don't have a life.
It's like they're the whole splash
screen.
People
are just getting really creative, and then people are getting extremely creative with the tools and how they're using the tools. How all these tools are finally talking to each other.
That's totally
So you
true.
can use like your email marketing software to your CRM, to a form, to an A/B testing.
Best way to do it.
Like people do like how and it's pretty amazing how they're all getting integrated, how they're all talking to each other, and the results that are driven from there.
Yeah.
I think it is just amazing. So like basically the answer is what I love about this is the creativity and like the really cool personalities that I'm meeting through this community, two that I'm looking at right now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. No problem. That's on me.
I appreciate it. No, you're absolutely right. Is the tools have kind of jettisoned some of the Fast and Furious, and now they're getting better, and they are getting smarter, and they're getting more integrated, and you can actually rely on them more. It used to be, I mean, all my staff realize how much money I put into all these different tools just to be able to triangulate and get a bead on the different issues that have to do with whatever client. Right now, they're starting to really coalesce into a tool set that you can rely on. All right, I got to ask you here, Dave. You have something damn funny that happened to you. All right. And you shared it with us, and I'm gonna have to leverage it. Will you allow me to jump in there and get into the killer squirrel attack here?
Yeah, go.
Okay. We're gonna run this thing, and my gosh, this is too damn funny. Have a look.
Squirrels here. Look at this guy. Oh my god, so close.
Oh my goodness!
Did we get the entire thing? Okay, I didn't. Did we get the full attack?
Yeah, man.
Okay, I looked. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I was scared.
Oh yeah,
that is 86.
It was like one of the first times I was using Snapchat, so it was a pretty quick video.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, how many views do you have on YouTube now on that one?
So the issue is I put it on YouTube and then I put it on Reddit. And then a lot of other people, they downloaded it off YouTube and then uploaded it to like influencer Facebook page, like these shared Facebook pages.
Oh yeah.
So some of those Facebook pages, they got views on their video in the millions. And then I was stuck with like only like, I don't know, I think of like 70,000 or something on my video. And then,
But see,
also,
you're a facilitator. You help everybody else with their own marketing as well,
no,
right?
I really didn't, and I didn't, and it was like actually a pretty hectic time. It wasn't like it was planned, right? So
Yeah.
like it just really randomly happened in the middle of the day, and I posted on Snapchat, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna post it on Facebook, and then someone's like, oh my God, this is gonna be great. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll just post it on Reddit, and then within like minutes of me posting Reddit, my inbox just started filling up with people trying to buy the rights.
Are
Press.
you serious?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to Reddit. We did it, Reddit.
Wow.
No, so like it was just like it started blowing up, and then like publications, hey, do we have permission to use your video? Can we buy it off you? Can we do this? I was like getting super overwhelmed because it was like a 3 p.m. in the middle of the workday. So I was just like, oh man, like this is so funny. Like I can't believe
It
this
is
happened
hilarious.
so fast. And then I was like, basically, like as a marketer, I was just like, I reached out to all these publications that were asking me, and I was like, hey, sure, could you use it? Do you mind just including a link to my blog? You know, like
Perfect.
trying to get the backlink, and
Yeah,
nobody wanted. They're like, hey, we'll link to your Twitter or whatever. So a few of them took it. I didn't respond to all the emails in time, so like I lost out like on some big opportunities. I think like the New York Post and some others.
Oh,
Interesting.
And then whatever, it was fine. Like in my head, I was like, oh, this strange shit like this always happens to me, so I'm sure it's gonna happen again. But now that it's like a year later, I'm like, wow, that probably never is gonna happen.
Oh, that's hilarious, man.
oh
Yeah.
man. Well, that was so damn funny. I mean, we were
was
literally
good.
looping that,
It was
and I'm sure that's been done over and over again on the net. But we are laughing hysterically, and you didn't get scarred on that, right? I mean, everything was cool. He was just
Yeah, no
Not
shots in your rear end. Yeah. All right, good.
there could be a nightmare
Yeah,
factor in
man.
there, a jumping squirrel right at your face, man.
Heck yeah, you gotta get a rabies shot.
Yeah, it's funny. I think like there's some like it's funny. Like some of the people on Reddit, they actually remixed it. There was like some funny.
That's
remix
awesome, yeah.
online. Yeah.
Oh man, well, I really appreciate your time today. You're doing a fantastic job in a space that doesn't get its needed acclaim. I mean, the organizers of these online communities, especially now, with the need for constant feeding and attention, you got to be able to engage. And on top of it, it's up to every marketer to be plugged in, and that not just be passive and receiving content.
Right.
They've got to give into the community, right? They've got to participate, and that's what you're doing with your Slack community on a regular basis. I want to applaud you for that. Any final thoughts for your Open Geniuses community that's listening to this show and possibly interacting with you and down the way? What are some key things that you want to say to them right now?
What do you call it? You call it Open Geniuses?
Oh my Lord! Online
I
Jesus,
like
what
the
the
online
hell
Jesus.
am I
like
doing
the
today?
online- Yeah, I like the online Jesuses thing better.
I was thinking open source, man. I
There we go.
was pulling together the environment that you have. It's online Jesus.
He's done.
I get a lot of excuses.
Online geniuses. And what would you say to them?
What would I say to them in regards to what?
Just
in general?
the community and how the community's prospered.
Yeah.
And just giving some key points of what's ahead of them. And
So literally the key point is right now, use either my community or other communities to network as much as possible. Yeah. This is an amazing time where you can network across the world with emojis. Like use those, and you don't like amazing things have happened to me by meeting. I'm telling you, I literally spoke to a friend of mine in Australia. We speak like all the time. I've actually met him in OG, and like I literally feel like I never met the person, and I never met a lot of my friends in this community. But you have no idea. Like we're introducing each other to people. We're doing, we're transactional, but like it blows my mind that it's like people say like you're addicted to your phone, like or people in general are addicted to their phone, right? I'm like addicted to, because like I love like hearing about like all these random relationships that I've built around the world, and I think that it's a wonderful time. And if people are not utilizing that, if you're so self-focused, and the way to build relationships right now is very, very simple. just give to people. Just give to people in the community. Like, hey, bud, I don't know if you read this article. It seems like it's relevant to your industry. You know what just got born? Some sort of relationship. Because when something's relevant for you, and slowly, when you're going to visit some random place, or you need a favor, or someone could ask you for a favor, it's there. Utilize it. It's extremely important for your career and personal life.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very well said. Well, is there anything that we could promote for you on the show?
No, thank you. I have an announcement soon about a company I'm starting, but when the time is right. Nothing premature, but I do appreciate you having me here, and it's been really fun. I hope that the one thing that everyone here got out of it is the name of my community. So
Online
that's it, then
geniuses.
I will be. I don't know. You could just
I deserve that. I absolutely deserve that.
No, you could just call most people just call it OG.
That's cool, actually. Yeah, that's good.
So it's Online Geniuses, and I appreciate your latitude there as I stumble through it. Hey, check it out for aspiring digital marketers as well as savvy, experienced digital marketers. The new ones, we want to see you in that space so you can learn so much and learn the best practices in all these spaces. And for the seasoned marketers, jump in there and be able to give back to your community. That's where a lot of the black hat stuff gets purged out of the community, and you can absolutely learn from the best. Right, David?
I hope so.
Well, there you go. So
he's like, there you go, Mr. Confident.
So how do we find you on Twitter?
David Markovich _.
Fantastic. And on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, we can find you with a quick search.
Just go to davidmarkovich.com, all my socials.
You got it. Perfect. Got it. All right. So check them all out and go over to Online Geniuses. There it is.
There it is.
And submit your profile. It's real easy to go through, and you'll get reviewed and hopefully get approved here in moments. Right.
Right.
Excellent. All right, sir. Well, thank you so much, and we certainly appreciate your time today. Hey, good luck in New York, and we'd love to connect with you down the road. And who knows what we could do with a Indianapolis chapter out here.
Yeah, let's talk.
You'll be very surprised how people pop up out of nowhere once they realize that a community is being built.
Absolutely.
Roger that. All right. Well, to all of our listeners, I'm sorry we didn't have a question posed to David. I do apologize. Maybe it's because of my fumbling of the company name. But we're certainly going to keep it open for extended time over the next week to be able to get some additional questions in, and David may be able to jump in there and answer them post-show. But we're going to keep the doors open. Thank you very much for listening to Edge of the Web Radio. Special thank you to our colleagues at Site Strategics and our talented co-host, Jared, as he jumped in. We certainly wish the best for Tom Broadbeck and David Markovich. Thank you so much for joining us. You got to check out all the must-see videos at edgeofthewebradio.com, as well as all the insider news. That's edgeofthewebradio.com. Check out all the guests that we talk about and talk to on a regular basis. We'll talk to you next week. Do not be a piece of cyber driftwood.